Good morning. How are you guys? Welcome, my Red X family, to another Who Wants Something. Oh, that's Twitch. I'm gonna go off from Twitch. That is not for me, I figured. How are you guys doing? Happy early Mother's Day to all you beautiful angels out there. What are you doing this weekend? It's Mother's Day, not all over the world, but it is in Germany, I figured, in Australia. But yeah, every day should be Mother's Day, shouldn't it? All right, you guys. Just welcome everybody. Too many in chat, so I'm not going to be mentioning individual names. Before I get into the autopsy, I wanted to do all the autopsies, but I couldn't make it. So today is gonna be Shanann only, and next week or during the week, I'm gonna be doing Bella and Cece. All right. It is a little bit of, how do I put it? Yeah, might be upsetting content, and I know that, but I still want to talk about this. I did last year 2 or 3 autopsy videos already, and my mind since has changed. I gotta be honest with you guys. You have an echo. Oh, this is not on. I have nothing else open. Only StreamYard. And yeah, just to remind you guys, I can't see chat, and if I do, I have a massive delay. All right. I know it's a controversial topic. I know not everybody shares the same opinion as I do. But like I said, I just still wanted to talk about this. Last year when I did I'm saying but way too much. Last year when I did the autopsy videos, I was in contact with a few medical examiners from my town. My town is famous for having a massive, big, large university. So basically, doctors come here or people who want to become a doctor come here from all over the world to study medicine. And I found that, that was my opportunity to go in and just ask away. I was asking loads and loads about chloroform because that was my initial theory. I was asking loads about decomposition. I was asking about blood alcohol level, what causes everything. And yeah, they grew a little bit sick of me, to be honest with you. And I decided to do another more in detail autopsy report. And they actually referred me, or 2 of the medical examiners from my town actually referred me to, they must have thought I'm crazy. Why is she asking all these things, and why does show chloroform up? And and they gave me loads of internet websites, case studies, stuff like that. But actually, I was talking to one this week, and he referred me to a group of students, actually. So, yeah, I was talking to a couple of them. Unfortunately, they don't want to come on because their English is not that good. Mine is neither is mine, but still, you guys can understand what I mean, or can understand me talking. And yeah, so we were talking about Shanann in the first place, and we got a little bit into Bella and Cece. But like I said, this is way too much information I obtained, and yeah, I just do it a different time. I prepared many slides. I think it's 50 in my presentation. It goes very deep into medical stuff, and I had to Google all that because they gave me information in German, right? And the past 3 days, I was just sitting there trying to basically translate everything. So a normal person and not an expert like me, I'm not an expert, I'm a normal person, would understand. So, and I think I made it quite okay-ish. At least I do understand it, and if I understand something, you guys do anyway. All right, I'm gonna stop my camera. Welcome everybody who just joined in. And we're gonna get right into this. Share my screen again. Also, I'm a facts-based channel, you know me, and I do theorize from time to time, but then I also say it's a theory or it's in my head or it's thoughts of me, right? What these guys told me, yeah, I value their opinion, even though they're only students and almost ready medical examiners, but I still value their opinion. And I think somebody who's not an expert and has not worked or has no experience in that field cannot have an opinion on this. So that's just my opinion. All right. I cannot see the chat right now. I'm gonna blow that up a little bit more. Just give me 1 wee second. So, I cannot see chat right now. All right. Well, a little warning, the content of this video, like I said in the start, may be upsetting, and so viewer discretion is advised. If you cannot stomach parts of bodies or deceased people, please consider not to watch or close your eyes or whatever. To understand all this stuff, I have to start at the beginning. I hope you don't mind. And I just wanted to explain to you in simple phrases some medical terms like rigor mortis. And please excuse me if I cannot spell certain words in English. I will just spell them out in German, but you guys see on the screen what I mean. So if that makes sense, okay? All right. So rigor mortis is the approximate time of algo and rigor mortis in temperate regions. That explains the body temperature. Once rigor mortis starts, the body becomes stiff, and that occurs basically as soon as you die. It starts slowly. When your body is warm, your body is not stiff, so you'll be dead about 3 hours. When it's warm and stiff, you'll be dead 3 to 8 hours. It's cold and stiff, that means full rigor mortis, you're dead from 8 to 36 hours. And if you're cold and not stiff, then the decomposition process, putrefaction and all that starts. All right, you can also read that. Dr. Starksby is his name. I think he's from England. No, from Oslo. What happens after death? He did a good study on the stages of death. All right, then there's a big myth. I also asked that the student, I said, well, rigor mortis was released in the major muscle groups, and he told me that just because an autopsy report doesn't state that it was released in the small muscle groups doesn't mean it wasn't. So the muscles remain in rigor until the muscle proteins deteriorate about 15 to 25 hours later, which presumably results from autolysis. That's basically the decomposition. The cells eat themselves up, basically, caused by enzymes released from, I cannot spell this word. All these events occur more rapidly at higher temperatures. So if it's hot outside, obviously, and the body is out in the open, decomposition occurs, or rigor mortis occurs quicker than it would be in colder regions. So depending on the circumstances, rigor mortis may last for a few hours up to several days. The muscles of the face and neck are often the first to be affected, and the rigidity spreads backwards over the trunk and limbs. Relaxation of the muscles occurs in roughly the same order. So this is what he meant. It starts basically in your tongue. This is the biggest muscle. Goes over your head, your skull. The little muscle groups get stiff. Then it goes over to your limbs, neck, hands, feet, everything else, and it releases in the same order. That means it releases in the small muscle groups first, and then releases in the limbs, arms, whatever. So there you can see, just because the autopsy report of Shanann states that rigor was released in the big muscle groups does not mean it wasn't released in the smaller muscle groups, just because he doesn't mention it. Autolysis is the process of which digestive enzymes within the body cells break down carbohydrates and proteins. Putrefaction is the predominant cause of tissue degradation and is due to bacterial activity. Putrefaction starts 4 to 10 days after death. So also here, depending on weather, if it's hot, if it's cold, if it's dry, if it rained, all these things need to be taken into consideration. So then you have stage 1 of the autolysis. That's basically the breakdown of your cells. The first stage of human decomposition is called autolysis or self-digestion, and begins immediately after death. As soon as blood circulation and respiration stops, the body has no way of getting oxygen or removing wastes. Excess carbon dioxide causes an acidic environment, caused membranes to cell to rupture. So basically, you digest yourself, or your cells start to digest. Then rigor mortis causes muscle stiffening. This is what we know. Stage 2 of the autolysis is bloating. Leaked enzymes from the first stage begin to produce many gases, and so on and so on. So this is the second stage, is bloating, and we're getting there. But as you guys remember, Shanann was in an advanced state, or mild to moderate state of decomposition, which includes bloating. For some people, they think, oh, mild to moderate, like she was fresh or something, but no, that's not the case. So stage 3 would be the active decay, fluids released throughout your bodies and organs, muscles become liquefied. Before that happens, they dry out. And the stage 4 would be the skeletonization. This is just a quick overview. So before we get into this, so just so you heard it. And the body decomposition in a timeline. 24 to 72 hours, the internal organs decompose. Then 3 to 5 days after death, the body starts to bloat, and blood-containing foam leaks from the mouth and nose. Because many say, oh, her shirt was full of blood, or this and that. Could be that it comes from bleeding out of mouth and nose. Then we don't have to read the 8 to 10 days and several weeks later, because she was found after 4 days. So as you can see here, 3 to 5 days, the body starts to bloat, and blood-containing foam leaks from the mouth and nose. This would be consistent with how long she was in the shallow grave. Then I have a little example from my other live streams. Livor mortis, or livor mortis, as the Americans call it, of Marilyn Monroe. As you can see here, Marilyn was laying on her left side of her face before she was taken to the morgue. And what you see here is livor mortis. That means the blood basically sinks onto where the most pressure is on your body. And in this case, it's consistent with her being found laying on the left. Then here, this is a little, I know it's a bit small, but I'm gonna go through it anyway. So these are the stages again. It varies, people vary. I mean, like I said, it depends on hot weather, cold weather, or whatever. But it also depends on, was it an ill person? For example, I've been told that a person who had taken loads of antibiotics, for example, they decompose not so quickly as a person who never took any medications in their lives. So we're gonna go here. Fresh is not the case, so we're gonna go here to the bloating. I can't even read that, it's so bad. Accumulation of gases causes bloating, appearance in natural liquids, and liquefying tissues become frothy. Pressures of gases within the body forces fluids to escape from holes, nose, mouth, and so on. Gas pressure causes rupturing of the skin, and maggots hatch. Maggots activity causes skin to slip and hair to detach from skin. That's that scalping the medical examiner, Dr. Burson, has also mentioned. So she was in the state of that. And even though he did not mention any maggots, the problem with that is, and I also asked that, why was there no mention of maggots, flies, animals, bugs, beetles, whatever? And he said it's probably because they weren't in a good developed mass or whatever, but it's definitely were there, because otherwise her hair wouldn't have come off. So this is what these little flies and maggots and everything causes. So 3 to 6 hour rigor mortis, we know that now. 24 hours algor mortis, 72 hours rigor mortis of the body will begin to subside. In 168 hours, 60% of your body tissue is consumed by maggots. So if you count back 70 to 90 something hours she was in there, and 168 hours, this would be the first time where you visibly see maggots, even though you're in a state of bloating. Do you guys still hear me? I sometimes have a little bit loss of internet connection, and I hope I'm still there. You just give me a shout. Can you guys still hear me? I'm gonna do this. No, that's better. Okay, let's continue. I'm sorry if it goes a little bit too quick for some of you, but this is just an overview. So you heard the words, at least, bloating, rigor mortis, and stuff like that, because Dr. Burson makes some, says that all the time. All right. This is the autopsy report of Shanann. It's all public information. Just Google it and it will come up. So you can read it for yourself if that is too small for you to read. So the diagnosis, history of being reported missing and subsequently being found unresponsive in an obvious state of death in a shallow grave. The opinion of Dr. Burson is the cause of death is asphyxiation due to manual strangulation. And he says that because he thinks, or he found bruising of the anterior strap muscles of the neck, right to left. So here I have a little picture. So the strap muscles have bruising, and he describes the bruising on the surface, so not inside. Then he states mild to moderate decomposition consisting of generalized discoloration, bloating, and skin slippage. So, as we saw here, bloating, skin slippage, this is what Dr. Burson describes. Then she had history of pregnancy, the second trimester, largely decomposed fetus, and placental unit found expelled from the gravid uterus. Then we have the toxicology report. This is ethanol was found, blood alcohol concentration was 0.128 grams per 100 milliliters. That is a lot, but I also have an explanation on why this may have occurred. So we're going to go into the toxicology report first. Many people say, oh, there was some other toxins found in her body or medication or stuff like that. And I just wanted to explain to you, all they found was what you can see here. These are the positive findings. So they found ethanol, blood alcohol. Obviously, ethanol is alcohol. And they got that sample from spleen blood, as we later will see. They also took samples of the liver, they took samples of kidney, they took samples of the brain and all that. So ethanol, alcohol, drinking alcohol is a central nervous system depressant and can cause effects such as impaired judgment, reduced alertness, and so on and so on. Then he states, also, ethanol can also be a product of decomposition or degradation of biological samples, which I ask and which is true, but not entirely. So there are different other factors why your blood can show a high blood alcohol concentration, but we're getting to this later on. All right, then he clearly also states everything that is found in the analysis summary and report limits. This, what he's listing here, or what they are listing here, Mr. William Schroeder or whatever, this is the limit. So everything that goes, let's say if she has 10.6 milligram of amphetamine in her blood, then this would show up in the positive findings. This is a limit, so everything under 5.0 would be considered normal, because the body also produces normal amphetamines or ephedrines and all that kind of stuff. So alcohols and acetone confirmation in blood and spleen blood. So everything that goes over this limit would be mentioned. So you can see here, they, this was the first page, I'm sorry. So this is not what they found. Yeah, this is limits. If you go to your doctor and get blood tested or whatever, let's say the gallbladder or whatever, they all have some sort of limit. And if it goes over that limit of being normal, then they would put it as a positive finding in the start. All right. So then opinion based on the history provided in the autopsy findings, the cause of death is asphyxiation due to manual strangulation by another individual. The manner of death is homicide. All right. Can I ask you guys, is that so far all right-ish? How do I explain how I explain this? Or does it go too quick? Or before we go into the actual autopsy report, I just wanted to make sure that everybody understands what I mean. So Just asking. I try to make it as easy as possible. All right. Then we have here, if I don't find anything, or if the students did not find anything of concern, then I do not mention it. So I'm not going over the entire thing. That's not of importance. So the descendant is a 34-year-old Caucasian female who has a largely unknown medical history at the time of this autopsy. Reportedly, the descendant returned home from a business trip on the early morning hours of August the 13th. This was the last time she was seen alive. She was reported missing in the afternoon of the 13th, following an extensive search and investigation by law enforcement. She was found unresponsive in an obvious state of death in a shallow grave in rural Colorado. She was pronounced dead at the gravesite at 5 minutes after midnight on August the 16th. So, what is unusual for Germany anyway? But I don't know if it's unusual for the Americans, but it's unusual that so many people attended the autopsy that had basically nothing to do with it. Like, what does CBI have to do with autopsies, or Baumhofer, or whoever, or the DA, or, I would understand one person of the DA or an expert of the DA and another expert of the defense team. But there were like 12 people or 15 people present, and this is not, it's not nice. I mean, why would they be there, right? So he states that Chris Watts has requested to swab the necks of the children for trace DNA. According to him and his expert DNA witness, they anticipate trace DNA being preserved on the neck structures of the children despite being confined in a container of oil, water, and associated sludge matter over the course of several days. And yes, I don't know about the USA, but we have a special, I'd say, program. It's computer-based, where you indeed can take DNA and also fingerprints from decomposed bodies, as well as people submerged in water. I don't know of any cases of anyone here being submerged in oil over the course of a few days, but you can definitely still get DNA by, I don't know how that works. I'm not a forensic expert, but they have ways to determine or to extract DNA of a body that was submerged in liquids. Okay, then clothing. She was wearing a purple t-shirt, a pair of blue underwear, a black bra, and a white metal piercing she had on the left side of her nose, and her hands were placed in paper bags. This is normal for the police or the investigators to do that to preserve possible evidence. So no, he did not put her hands in paper bags. They did this. Then here again. So identifying marks and scars, he did not see any. Evidence, medical surgical intervention. Evidence of medical surgical intervention consists of the following: none. So you got to keep in mind, guys, he is looking at her appearance now. She's there in the morgue on that table, and he's looking at her appearance, but he goes deeper into her injuries later on. All right, then she had external evidence of injuries, possible patterned abrasions of the neck and left aspect of the face. And this is a case study. I can't remember where we came across this, but this is a case study of Dr. Halim bin Mansar. And he states, bodies found in sandy locations will be invaded by a variety of insects, such as ants and beetles. They will produce extensive superficial tissue damage, which resembles abrasions. These injuries might be thought to have been produced by dragging through the sand over rough ground. The lack of linear patterns should be sufficient to exclude dragging injuries. And what does Dr. Burson state? Possible patterned abrasions of the neck and left aspect of the face. And as we know, insects already went over her body because her scalp came off. I'm sorry if I'm being that direct, but I don't know how to word it differently. I'm sorry, it is just what it is. And if you talk about, certain topics like this, you just have to say it the way it is, right? So I'm sorry if some people feel offended by this. So he states patterned abrasions, and Dr. Halim states this could be mistaken by dragging through the sand over rough ground. Yeah, so she was probably not dragged with her face. Then he mentions a 1 centimeter area of probable bruising on the anterior substantious neck tissue. Bruising on the superior aspect of the stern, whatever that is, I can only tell you in German, muscle, but I'll show you in a second. Bruising of the soft tissue and facial tissue of the surface of the right thyroid cartilage. Bruising of the soft tissue associated with the right horn of the thyroid bone, which is intact. Okay, so this is this weird muscle, and she had that, so that muscle was bruised, right? And we're still talking about external injuries. So her muscle was bruised. Then he's talking about, so the thyroid bone was intact. And I also asked, this does not break all the time. So it's a 50-50 chance. It's not said that if you get strangled, that this thyroid bone will break. So just because it is not broken doesn't mean she wasn't strangled. Bruising of the soft tissue associated with the right horn of the thyroid bone. This would be, it shows do you see that it's on the left, but just think 3-dimensional and just turn that head around and it's on the left, right? So I could have put a better picture, but okay. So then he goes on to say the general external examination. So he's still looking at her from the outside. He did not see anything inside. See, and I was always under the impression when he said he saw a 1 centimeter area of probable bruising on her neck tissue, I always thought, well, that's the inside, right? He opened her neck or her throat tissue and looked inside, but no, he's still talking about external injuries, visible external injuries. So he says the autopsy is commenced at 10:30 hours on August the 17th on the body of Shanann Watts at the McKee Medical Center, Loveland, Colorado. This autopsy is performed at the request of the Wells County Coroner, State of Colorado. The body is that of a well-developed, well-nourished, although decomposing, Caucasian female whose appearance is generally consistent with the reported age of 34 years. The body measures approximately 67 inches long and weighs 144 pounds. The body exhibits mild to moderate decomposition consisting of generalized discoloration, bloating, and skin slippage. So for them, it's mild to moderate. For us, it's like, oh my God, you don't even, she's basically gone. No, it's not. So she's in a state between here, bloat, and where, you have definitely maggots and bugs and whatever. At the time of the autopsy, rigor mortis is released in the major, and this is what I explained to you earlier on. He states, I'm going to go into something else, so I have to just tell you. At the time of the autopsy, rigor mortis is released in the major muscle groups. And if you remember what I told you in the start, it does not mean just because he didn't put it that rigor mortis was not released in the smaller muscle groups. Especially rigor mortis releases in the smaller muscle groups first. As you can see here, again, depending on the circumstances, rigor mortis may last for a few hours to several days, and relaxation of the muscles occurs in roughly the same order. So first the small, then the bigger muscle groups. All right. We read first, and then I tell you what I was told. Livor mortis is not readily apparent due to post-mortem artifact. That basically means he cannot see livor mortis. This is what I showed you here, livor mortis, here with Marilyn Monroe. He cannot see everything and all of it. It's not apparent enough due to post-mortem artifact. That means because of discoloration and the start of decomposition, obviously. There is, however, an area of blanching on the right aspect of the abdomen extending along the groin to the right thigh. This is likely consistent with an area of pressure based on the body positioning at the time of discovery. So this was roughly the positioning. So everything occurs on her right. She was slightly in that grave to the right, and this is where the muscles and her leg got pressure on her chest, and this is the reason why she has slightly livor mortis here, because you remember, told you, livor mortis occurs where the body lays with pressure on. Then we have the head hair is brown, normally distributed, although slouching from the scalp. So this is an invasion of maggots, probably not fully developed maggots, but no flies or anything, but they are there, and measures approximately 30 centimeters long over the crown. The eyes are moderately opacified. This is a post-mortem artifact. You know, when your eyes get milky after you die, that's normal because your body doesn't produce anything anymore. It's not wet anymore. Everything dries out. The pupils are equal. Everything is fine so far, just normal. And she had no petechia. Petechia means the discoloration or the blood spatters in your eyes when you get strangled. Sometimes your little blood vessels bust, and that was not the case with Shanann. Here again, this is an example of a slouched scalp. This is an opacified eye. Could have taken a better picture. It's basically white and milky, and this is when your little blood vessels bust due to not having enough air or too much pressure. Then, where was I? Yeah. The head, where was there are no, the nose, that's also everything normal. Where does he mention that? Hold on 1 second. I lost where I was. I'm so unprofessional, I'm sorry. The lips exhibit mild drying artifact. That's also normal. Okay. The next structures are midline and without any unusual findings. Then what is a usual finding when somebody gets strangled? She had variably sized purple-black circular defects which extend from the inferior aspect of the chin along the jawline up the left aspect of the face towards the left temporal area. And I'm going to show you, this is what occurs. I can blow it up a little bit. This is what occurs. Those little circular defects on your skin when you get strangled. And Shanann had that here up to her, from her chin to over her cheek up to here, roughly. And I made this picture. I'm so proud. So also consistent with strangulation. Nothing in the chest, nothing in the abdomen. Then we go to a little bit more horrible thing. The external genitalia are largely normal. Adult female, however, the internal genitalia are producing through the vaginal vault. This likely represents prolapse of the uterus due to pregnancy and post-mortem artifact. Adjacent to the probable uterus is a largely degraded portion of tissue, which is unfortunately covered in sandy debris from the gravesite. Upon further examination of this tissue, it is revealed to be a largely decomposed fetus. Gender and age cannot be determined. However, it has the following measurements, and he measures crown to rump, length of approximately 10.5 centimeters, and a foot length of approximately 0.7 to 0.8 centimeters. There is an approximate 12 centimeter umbilical cord extending to a disrupted placental disc. The membranes are ruptured and covered with sand. I think sand or debris, it says. Okay, I'm gonna cut off here because we're gonna get into the, I shouldn't say good stuff, but into the interesting stuff. Here again, for you to read. The membranes are ruptured and covered with debris or sand. However, I ask the student, what does that mean? How can this even happen? You know, that everything, your uterus is prolapsed and all that stuff. And he gave me a couple of thingies to look up on the internet, and I tried to find this in English. Cause over the third of women in the United States have experienced some form of pelvic prolapse in their lives. Vault prolapse can occur when the supporting structures of the pelvis becomes weak, torn, or stretched. All right, the causes include vaginal birth, especially multiple childbirth, delivery of a large baby, surgery, radiation therapy, menopause, lifting heavy weights, then aging, extreme physical activity, being overweight. And I think we can agree that Shanann had none of this, right? Just 2 children before Nico, obviously, Bella and Cece, but none of this is Shanann. She's not overweight. She has not extreme physical activity. She's not aging. I don't know if she lifted heavy weights, probably not being pregnant. She was not old enough to be in a menopause, all this stuff. But what stood out, and what the students said to me, and I'm so happy I found this example: long-term constipation of straining during bowel movements. And I thought, bowel movements. Shanann always had problems with her bowels, right? We know that from her Facebook posts. We just know that she had problems. As you can see here, she posts on June the 14th, fun fact about poop. Most people have about 8 undigested meals in our guts, and it can hold up to 20 laps of poop. Like, how crazy is that? I have struggled with bloating and discomfort for years, along with always feeling like my stomach was always pushed out. Balance, thrive, balance, has helped me in ways other things couldn't. I tried it all. Plus, it's all natural. Yeah, you think so. Your gut health is so important. If your insides aren't healthy, your outside will reflect it, which is true. Directions: take 1 to 2 capsules before bed and wake up sexy. Even if you're regular, you'd love balance, trust me. On the right side, you see that was on the weekend before she went to Arizona. And I can't remember who she's talking to there, but the person says, I'm going to leave early Friday morning to head up. What time do you land again? Are you taking balance? And the reference to are you taking balance was because Shanann said in a previous message that she can't go poop. Then she sends her flight schedule and then she says, yes, but forgot a few times. Took 3 last night. Okay? So these are the capsules, Thrive Balance. And I'm not gonna do advertising here for Thrive. I just wanted to educate you. It says, from Thrive itself: if you're pregnant or breastfeeding, consult a doctor before using this product. If you're taking any medication or have any type of medical issue, and it says the same, consult a doctor before using this product. Okay, we know that she took Imitrex for her migraines and all sorts of stuff, right? It's not recommended for to be taken while you're pregnant, and even Thrive says that. Talk to your doctor. And I found a message, but I could not, and I screenshotted it, and I could not find it in my pictures anymore, so I cannot show you. I'm sorry, but it says it's a post of Shanann, and underneath she's commenting that her doctors were saying, yeah, she's fine, she can take it. And I have researched and I did not find one doctor who recommends taking any of these pills or patches, or none. And I looked for almost like 24 hours. I could not find any doctor reading all that Thrive stuff. I could not find any doctor who recommends this to be safe during pregnancy, not one. So I don't know what kind of doctors Shanann had. Maybe it was not true. I don't know. I wasn't there. I only theorize. But I couldn't find any doctor. Okay, I'm gonna catch up with you guys on the chat a little bit. I'm so sorry. I'm talking and talking and talking, and I feel like I'm leaving you all out of this. Everything clear so far, or do I have to roll back and explain something again? I really, really need a monitor. Or maybe I can use my phone and turn my phone on so you guys can alert me if something happens. Just give me one second so I can turn my phone on. So as you can see, Thrive, I never, like I said, I did not find one doctor who says, yeah, that's fine, you can take that. And, quite the opposite is the case, to be honest. I mean, I don't want to say, Thrive is bad or anything. No, it's your own decision what you're going to do with your body, right? And I never took it. I don't know how it works, nothing. But regarding this, couldn't find anyone saying you're good to go when you're pregnant. No way. Especially not, if this stuff can cause the vault to prolapse, right? All right, there are some other things that can cause this. And here again, I just put this for information, general information. Is Thrive patches safe for pregnancy? Thrive patches are not recommended for anyone under the age of 18, as well as pregnant or breastfeeding women. And this comes from 2018. Then again, a warning on the duo burns. Thrive itself says, please consult a doctor if you want to take this. Then they say, oh, it's all, natural and stuff like that, but it does contain caffeine and coffeine. So what causes vaginal vault? If you take antibiotics, if you're in swimming pools, if you have stress, if you have if you drink alcohol, if you are taking caffeine, steroids, scant soaps, if you have diabetes, if you are pregnant or on your period, same thing. And what does Ledell say to this? The coffee, and because they say it's all natural, right? And it doesn't do any harm. The coffee and green tea extracts found in some Ledell Thrive products contain caffeine, giving users a burst of energy and mental clarity to help start the day. So even if they say it's only extracts and all natural, no, especially if you're pregnant, all these things can cause your uterus and your everything to prolapse. So be careful with this list, right? And we know Shanann, I don't know if she took antibiotics, probably not. What's vaginal douches? Oh, yeah. If you take these vaginal shower head thingies, that's also not good. So if you're in swimming pools, if you have stress, well, we know she didn't drink, but caffeine, wearing all the time these patches. I don't know what kind of patches she even wore. Steroids, I don't know. Skint soaps, probably diabetes. Never heard that she had diabetes, but she was definitely pregnant. All right, now that we heard, so a long-term constipation or straining during bowel movements, she took that. This can cause it. Then we move on to the Oxy. oxycodone, oxycontin, or oxytocin, aka pitocin, aka syntocinon, or syntocinon. These are all medications that come in a variety of forms, such as injections, tablets, nasal sprays, and also in cream form or lotion. And what I want you guys to do me a favor, go on Google and later on, not now, and put in oxytocin 80 milligrams and look what comes up. We're going to do this later on together. So we all know Watts was searching for 80 milligrams of oxycodone, right? Could this have been a typo? Now you go try. Type in Google oxytocin 80 milligrams and see what comes up, because it's two totally different medications. Go to Google, type it in, and see what comes up. If you type in oxytocin, oxycodone, and oxycontin will come up. This is what I meant, right? So if he was to look for oxytocin, which I'm gonna be explaining what it is in a second, 80 milligrams, Google automatically refers you to oxycodone or oxycontin, right? So in my humble opinion, and you will understand in a minute why I say this, in my humble opinion, I think he was looking up oxytocin, aka pitocin, and so on, so on. You will understand in 1 second. No, they're not the same. Oxycodone and oxycontin is a painkiller, right? And oxytocin is something different. I'm going to show you in a sec. What does oxytocin do as a drug? Oxytocin injection is used to begin or improve contractions during labor. Oxytocin also is used to reduce bleeding after childbirth. It also may be used along with other medications or procedures to end a pregnancy. Oxytocin is in a class of medication called oxytocic hormones. So, oxytocin is a, how do I explain that now? Oxytocin is a normal, natural hormone that's already present in your body. Some people call that the love drug. Have you ever heard from this? The love drug? It makes you bond with your child and, happy feelings and all that during sexual intercourse and all that stuff. This is when your body produces oxytocin, right? So in hospitals, they use it to introduce labor to you if your baby is overdue, for example. But it comes in various forms, right? When we remember, it comes in nasal sprays, it comes in lotions, it comes in tablets, and it's already there in your body anyway. So it's a hormone. It's something totally different than oxycodone. And when I found this, I was like, oh my God, right? I was talking about oxytocin before in my live streams on the autopsy. But what this guy told me, the student, he said, oh, well, oxytocin, yeah, could be given to her, variously through lotions or whatever. But, I'm going to show you in a second. So it also may be used along with other medications to procedures to end a pregnancy. Keep that in mind. What does oxytocin do in the body? Greater amounts of oxytocin hormone levels appear to be associated with greater relaxation, more willingness to trust others, and general psychological stability. It appears to help us reduce our stress response and reduce general anxiety in people when produced. I don't know how many of you have seen my documentary Into the Abyss, where I talk about dioptase. When Chris Watts was looking up dioptase helps. He's talking about green tea and stuff, what NK gave him to drink, but he also looked that up, Dave Bunk Minerals. Dioptase in a low dosage can cause you to feel not so much anger anymore towards somebody or to calm down, while higher dosages can cause really, really dangerous harm to your body. However, I had been trying to connect those dots, right? So if he's looking up dioptase, and dioptase does, all these things to you, they calm you down and stuff like that. I am 99% sure that he was not looking up OxyContin or oxycodone. I think he was looking up oxytocin. And I believe this is something he gave her, in my humble opinion. All right. Now something really, really heavy is coming. There's a case study, and this case study does exist in German as well. And I found the translation. So what they're studying is duration of oxytocin and rupture of the membranes before diagnosing a failed induction of labor. Right? Okay, so what did they do? To compare maternal and neonatal outcomes based on length of the latent phase during induction with rupture of membranes before 6 centimeter dilation. I have no clue what that means, but I read it in German, so I can explain. What they basically did was they tested on participants what happens if you take oxytocin in earlier stages of your pregnancy. What does that do to your body? What kind of hormones are left? What does it do with your blood, and so on and so on. And you can just type in Google if you want to read the whole report. I just have these two screenshot snippets: duration of oxytocin and rupture of the membranes. And now something really interesting I found. So duration of oxytocin and rupture of the membranes before diagnosing a failed induction of labor. This is what Dr. Burson states. The membranes are ruptured. Isn't that something? What do you guys think? Sorry, I have a dry throat from talking too much. When the student said to me, I was asking about oxycodone and all that stuff. And really, you guys try it out. Google oxycodone or Oxycontin 80 milligrams. Oxytocin 80 milligrams. It will come up as Oxycontin or oxycodone 80 milligrams. So, introducing oxytocin to a pregnant woman to introduce labor or to, make her go in labor. If that fails, the membranes are ruptured. And this is exactly what Dr. Burson states. In my humble opinion, like I said before, I think he was giving her some sort of that crap. I don't know in which form, but this is too much of a coincidence, and I don't believe in coincidences. Keep in mind the way she was buried and found. This is quite a popular birth position as well. No tumbleweed, it's not hard to get at all. You can have it over the counter, actually. It's in sprays and lotions and stuff like that. So it's a hormone, right? So no problem to get it at all. I have some more surprises for you guys. Because if, me as a normal person reading this, I don't understand anything at all. But after talking with certain people who really are become experts in this, even though they're still students, but they know so much, this, I have a changed view on this. I truly have. Yes, show me some love, please. Put a thumbs up. Thank you, Dave. No, probably he wouldn't think of that, but, would he think of dioptase? The mineral? He still looked it up. Chris Watts is not a stupid man when it comes to this. Yeah, sandy debris. Can we roll on after that? Bombshell. Portions of the placenta, umbilical cord, and membranes will be retained, and the fetus will be transferred to the urostriction of CBI for subsequent genetic analysis. So they took Nico away for testing. Can you guys connect the dots now? Medication, ruptured membranes, and where was it? A prolapsed uterus. They took Nico away for testing. And I just leave it at that. Okay, in her body cavities, and so on, nothing remarkable was found. Nothing what is worth mentioning or, causes any questions to me, or not to me, to the student. It's all okay. It's fine. Then we come to her lungs. The right and left lungs weighed 280 and 320 grams respectively and show normal separation. The lung is pale, tan, brown, and markedly, I cannot spell that word, there are no masses or gross areas of consolidation. The bronch system is also unremarkable. There are no foreign bodies or masses, and the arteries are free of thromboli. Okay. The lung is pale, tan, brown. So I asked the guy, chloroform. If you sedate somebody with chloroform, does it show up? And I got the same answer. Chloroform leaves the body quickly, and this is not a movie, so you will have to sedate somebody. You would have to apply chloroform over and over and over again. And if this is basically an overdose or poisoning of chloroform, your lungs and your airways would show a yellowish discoloration. And as much as I want to believe the chloroform stuff, there is, at least not in this autopsy report, any evidence that she was poisoned or sedated with chloroform. Medically, no evidence. Because Burson states her airways were okay. Her lungs have a pale tan brownish color. That's normal. She was in a state of decomposition. It starts out when you're born, your lung is pink, and then it goes darker and darker and darker over the years. So, markedly atelectatic. We get into this. And I said, what the hell does that mean? Shanann had a collapsed lung. And I don't care what anyone says that this is not true. It states here in big letters that she had a collapsed lung. If you don't believe me, what I tell you, Google it. You will find it. Shanann had a collapsed lung. So had Cece, so had Bella. But we're getting to this. So what does cause a collapsed lung? And there are only three things, three types of a collapsed lung. So atelectasis is describes the collapse of a previously inflated lung, either partially or fully, because of specific respiratory disorders. There are three major types: adhesive, compressive, and obstructive. So these three types can cause a collapsed lung. We're getting into this. Adhesive basically means is caused by a lack of surfactant. The surfactant has some sort which prevents lungs collapse by reducing the surface tension of the alveoli. That means something in your body is missing that causes, that prevents the lungs from collapsing. And I was told that mostly children have that and they are born with it. So if you have the adhesive form of a collapsed lung, this will be known as soon as you were born. And then you get treatment. The compressive one is caused by an external pressure on the lungs that drives the air out. Collapse is complete if the force is uniform or is partial when the force is localized. Local pressure can result from also a tumor, and local pressure meaning from inside, right? If a tumor is pressuring against your lung, an enlarged heart, or elevation of the diaphragm. The ducts and bronchi leading to the alveoli are squeezed together by the pressure upon them. This is the internal pressure if you have organic, if your organs are, if you have problems with your organs. But external pressure on the lungs is from the outside, so it has nothing to do with your lung, with your organs, giving pressure on your lung from the inside. Then the obstructive form may be caused by foreign objects lodged in one of the major bronchial airways, causing air trapped. So you cannot, basically, blood can be in there or foreign objects, whatever, blocking your airways. Okay, can we eliminate two of those? I think we can. So adhesive can't be. There's nothing known about Shanann having any problems with her lungs or was born with that disease. So we can rule that one out. Right? We can rule out the obstructive one because Dr. Burson states there are no foreign bodies or masses. Right? So we can get rid of that. What is the one and only cause? Is the compressive one. The compressive form of you having a collapsed lung. Can also happen if someone sits on you. And I'm just saying this. And underneath I have a screenshot from the discovery. Chris said he looked at Shanann, got on top of her, and did the same thing. And if you read through the discovery, we all know that he, is talking in his Wisconsin interview. I got on top of her, and Tommy Lee asks, well, she would let you go on top of her, that's like weird, right? And he also states, yeah, she said, get off of me. True? True. I know many of you are saying, nobody was killed in the house, and I know all that, and I shared that opinion until I came across a study about canines. And I'm gonna be doing a whole live stream on that as well, because it is possible. And I did not want this to be true. I gotta be very, very honest with you. I did not want this to be true. But it, all I'm saying is it could have been, or it's possible. I'm spending time reading studies. I'm spending time reading books. If I want to know something, I get to the bottom of it. And back then, I was absolutely under the impression that all the dogs, my friend Mary and I, we had a case where a dog found a body 50 feet or something underwater. And I was so impressed that from the start I said, now if the dog does not detect anything in the house, nobody died in there. But after reading the K9 and how they are trained and the studies on it, I must say it's absolutely possible that she died in that house. And like I said before, reading the autopsy and studying stuff, reading about stuff, did make my opinion change a little, little. I'm not that far out where I can say I'm making a final conclusion on this case, but I do see things differently now. Probably because I was talking to experts who were able to really explain in detail to me, and I was able to connect the dots. And yeah, I also watch YouTube videos about that stuff, but if I when I approached like several people and everyone tells you the same thing, um and me as a non-expert are saying no, I want this to be true. I don't want them to have died in the house. Well, I really got to be honest with you. So it is possible, but I'm gonna show you anyway in another live stream. All I want is answers, and I want to provide you with facts. I'm not that kind of channel who is, beating up a dead horse. I do grow as I get along with that case. I do a lot in my free time on that case, even though, I want to do different cases as well, or different formats as well. I take everything in that gets sent to me, all that. And like I said, I didn't want this to be true. But if you read and, put the things together, yeah, I'm just for facts. Truly am for facts. And I'm not that kind of channel going out there live and tell you BS about, that stuff. We all want the truth, and we want justice for Shanann and the girls, definitely. And I feel like justice is not served. That's my opinion. Yeah, but maybe that changes too as I go along. I don't know. A year ago, I did not know anything about friggin' autopsies or K9s, or I just went with the flow, right? And this is why I ask everybody, and everybody who's subscribed to me and everybody who follows me, please, all I'm asking is to keep an open mind. This is all I'm asking. All right. What have we learned about oxytocin? It's a hormone. Getting back to the blood alcohol concentration, and this is where it comes together. Certain hormones and estrogen as well can cause a high blood alcohol level. or blood alcohol concentration. So it's not only down to decomposition, it's not down for, being a drinker or consuming alcohol in large amounts. It also comes down to your hormones and all that kind of stuff. So the highest BACs were reached during the premenstrual time and ovulation. This variation in BAC is thought to be caused by hormonal fluctuations, especially in regard to estrogen. Do I spell that word right? Probably not. Forgive me. Elevated estrogen levels have been found to lead to slower alcohol metabolism and therefore increased BACs. So this is another reason why Shanann's blood alcohol level was so high, right? If she had miscarried, or if they ended the pregnancy by giving her this oxytocin stuff or whatever, or if it was caused through the bowels, as we learned earlier on, right? All this stuff and patches and whatnot. Yeah, this could have caused her high blood alcohol level. But I gotta say this also. If she miscarried, I do not believe in 100 years, and I think people agree with me that this was a coffin birth. Coffin births are very, very rare. In fact, there's only 2 registered coffin births medically. So I think that Nico came out was due to other factors and not a coffin birth. That was not natural. It wasn't. Because if you put all this together, the high blood alcohol concentration, then the medications, the position she was found in, all that stuff, and then the genetic testing, we're getting to this as well. This was no coffin birth. I don't believe it. Pregnancy increased it due to high estrogen. Yes. Yeah. So, like it states, during the premenstrual time and ovulation, your blood alcohol level can be high, right? So, basically, a miscarriage can cause a higher blood alcohol level. And I'm hoping I'm saying this right. I'm hoping I say this right, but I think I do. So we have the collapsed lung. We have the uterus expelled, and which does not happen when you have a coffin birth anyway. Yeah, just connect the dots, right? Everything else was fine. I mean, not fine, obviously, she has died, but medically, what Dr. Burson describes is normal decomposition. He describes the wires or hardware in her back. All the coloration. I mean, of course, you got to take into consideration that she was discolored due to being decomposed or starting to decompose. But overall, it's a normal autopsy report. So nothing here is worth mentioning. Then here, you can see all these endometrium that was disrupted as well, ruptured. Yeah, so this was these cords here. I don't even want to say this, but they were basically hanging out. Okay, this is what Dr. Burson describes. So everything came out. Everything. Then he describes the neck again with the thyroid bone. Also that the thyroid bone was intact. And like I said, I was told just because this bone does not break does not mean there was no strangulation. The spine is normal. There's faintly visible hardware involving at a spine at the level of C6. I don't know. This is upper, I was told, upper more towards the neck. There's no soft tissue hemorrhage or other abnormalities associated with this prior to the surgical site. So this is where he goes internal, right? We had the external bruises and markings on her neck. And wrongfully, I was under the impression that he is describing the inside, so the internal injuries, but he did not. So he was describing the external ones, and now he describes the internal ones, and he clearly states that obvious hemorrhage and stuff like that is caused by that surgery, right? And it's faintly visible any longer. So they obtained blood from the spleen and sent this to the toxicology, which I read already. And the last page of her autopsy states the evidence. The fetus is transferred to the Colorado Bureau of Investigation for genetic analysis if warranted in the future. Then they took swabs, x-rays, fingernail clippings, acid. They did a DNA card on Shanann, and sections of the heart, lung, liver, kidney, brain, the right sternal thingy muscle, where I told you that was bruised. This one right here. They took a sample of that as well. The soft tissue from the surface of the right thyroid cartilage and right lobe of the thyroid are submitted for histology. So they have this stuff available. If anything comes up, they can test this again. Many people were thinking, okay, maybe Nico was dead already. And, she carried him around without her knowing that he was dead. On the 12th of August, that's the Sunday, she's saying, felt the baby move twice this weekend. I don't know. This is up to you if you believe that or not. I do believe it, that she felt the baby move, even though at 15 weeks, I don't know. I have 2 children, and at 15 weeks, I barely knew I was pregnant, let alone feeling a 14, 15-week-old baby. But yeah, like I said, everybody's different, right? All right, then let's get into the genetic testing of Nico. Why did they do this? This is a screenshot of the discovery. If you cannot read it clear enough, please feel free to go to the discovery and read it. So this is a follow-up on Shanann Watts' missed doctor appointment. Action taken. And now check the date, and the date is on the 15th of August. Colorado Bureau of Investigation agent Matthew Saylor responded to the Centura Health physician group, Avista Family Medicine, located at 611 Mitchell Way in Erie, Colorado, to follow up on information we had received that Shanann Watts missed an appointment on the 13th of August, obviously. Upon arrival at approximately 11:45, I contacted Susie Schnell from the front desk. So on the 15th, before the autopsy was even scheduled, before they even found them, before Chris Watts even confessed to killing Shanann, they knew. Ooh, somebody's out there. They knew something about Nico, right? 11:45 hours, he contacts Susie. Schnell confirmed that Watts had an appointment scheduled for the 13th at 9:15, and by Watts they mean Shanann, and that Watts did not arrive for that appointment. Schnell advised me that the appointment was for standard gender and genetic testing with Dr. Stephanie Traver of the Women's Health side of the clinic. Schnell explained that half of the clinic is dedicated to general practice and the other half was dedicated to obstetrics and genealogy. Schnell told me that the appointment had been previously scheduled for the 8th of August and the 9th of August. So she had two appointments, the 8th and the 9th. Schnell said that the previous appointments had been cancelled and rescheduled by Watts, as opposed to the appointment on August the 13th, for which Watts did not show or call. Dr. Traver was not currently in the office. Schnell advised me that Watts was also a patient of Dr. Scott Darude on the general practice side of the clinic, but had not been seen by him since October of 2017. Dr. Darude was not currently in the office. So she did not go to that doctor since October 2017. Alrighty then. Schnell advised, probably she had another doctor by then. Schnell advised that she could not provide any additional information as it would be violation of the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability, HIPAA. Schnell provided me with the name of the manager of the general practice side of the clinic, Emma Pospisil, and of the women's health side, Ann Knowles. Schnell suggested I contact them for any additional information. I left voice message for both Pospisil and Knowles with my contact information requesting a phone call back. On the 16th, at approximately 1 p.m., I received a phone call from Pospisil. Pospisil advised she was not able to provide any additional information as it would be a violation of HIPAA. As of the time of this report, I have not received communication from Knowles. So she didn't even call back. Okay, so why would she cancel those appointments? The first ultrasound to confirm the pregnancy was on the 19th of June, 2018. This is the ultrasound picture she sends to Chris. She had an appointment for gender and genetic testing on the 8th in the medical center. She canceled. She had an appointment on the 9th for gender and genetic testing in the medical center, she canceled. But she did attend a non-medical 4D or 3D ultrasound on the 8th. And she rescheduled the gender and genetic testing to the 13th, where she never showed up, obviously, because she was murdered. So I looked up a little bit. Why do they do gender and genetic testing? They normally do that it's common, but it's not usual. So you don't have to do this if you do not have any family history of genetic defects, right? So I don't know why she did that or whatever. She canceled. But she attended the 4D ultrasound, and as we all know, the 4D ultrasound clinic is not a medical clinic, so they do not provide medical advice or medical information at all, right? So she canceled. Then this guy, what's his face? Where's his name? Doesn't mention here, but it will be in a minute. So at 10:58 a.m., this guy from the ultrasound clinic calls in and states that he has some medical information for investigators and would like contact by phone. This first thing here. It's a bit confusing. So this is the first call that goes in at 10:58 on the 17th. And as you can see, at 10:30, as it stated previously, the autopsy began. And at 10:58, this guy calls in from the ultrasound clinic and has some medical information for investigators and wants a call back. Right? Hold on, where was it? I got mixed up with the pages. It's okay. So, 10:58, right? He calls in medical information. Then Burson states, the fetus is transferred to the Colorado Bureau of Investigation for genetic analysis if warranted in the future. Portions of the placenta, umbilical cord, and membranes will be retained, and the fetus will be transferred to the restriction of CBI for subsequent genetic analysis. This, what we see here, is a screenshot of the discovery. And this is I believe this was the report of Tammy Lee. I'm not sure. Dr. Burson examined, so she was present, right, during the autopsy. Okay. Dr. Burson examined the amniotic sac and removed Shanann's fetus. The fetus was collected as evidence, and CBI laboratory manager Aaron King arrived during the autopsy to transport the fetus directly to the CBI forensic laboratory. So, what the heck is going on? So this guy calls in half an hour after the autopsy starts. Then it was important enough for this Aaron Conning to arrive during the autopsy and take Nico away for genetic testing. Why? Why do genetic analysis? Exactly, no. Why? Because they wanted to determine if Nico was a miscarriage or not. As simple as that. But we have not seen any reports, right? Okay, so it goes further. This guy is called Zach Brick, okay, from the 4D ultrasound clinic. He's stating on the 17th. But by then, he already sent out videos and ultrasound CDs and all that stuff, right? By the time he writes that. So, to whom it may concern, we are a non-diagnostic prenatal ultrasound center in Erie, Colorado, and we're made aware of what has happened to this family recently. This is truly a horrible situation, and we send our best wishes to their family. The Watts family visited our location on the 8th from 6:40 to 7:16 for an elective 3D, 4D prenatal ultrasound. Here are all the files collected from their visit. Attached in the documents are links to video clips from our security camera, the digital ultrasound files, and the family picture we acquired. We also have sign-in forms at the office if needed. Also, we prefer not to have any press involvement as to not scare our clients. So we ask that you please do not publicize our information or reference us to the press. Thank you in advance for your understanding. So what happened was this Amanda Purcell lady in charge of the evidence. This guy, Zach Brick, sent her all the files. So he sent everything on Google Drive. And I did not screenshot that, but it's all in the discovery, so you can read it. So what happened? He sent her all the files, or sent this technics guy the files, but Amanda Purcell is in charge of all the evidence. So she tries to open the file, and access was denied. Next day, Baumhofer and whoever this guy was, they send, Baumhofer sends an email to the technician saying, you can give her access. And then this guy, the technician, contacts Zach Brick from the ultrasound clinic saying, yes, it's confirmed. Amanda Purcell is part of the investigation, and you can give her permission to view the Google Drive, which he then did. Right? That's the whole story. So this is why he says he has the digital files, ultrasound files, security camera footage, and so on and so on. So by the 17th, they had everything. Okay, why do we do a post-mortem genetic testing? Post-mortem genetic testing is testing that is performed on a sample after an individual has died. The goal of post-mortem genetic testing is often to try to identify the cause of death and/or identify if blood relatives are at risk for a genetic disease or sudden death. And this thing, identify if blood relatives are at risk for a genetic disease or sudden death, this is what she always canceled, those appointments. She canceled gender and genetic testing twice, right? She canceled those. So post-mortem, they do that to basically try and find out how this person died. And there is a 224-page case study on fetus post-mortem autopsy. And I read a little bit of it, but not everything. But if you guys are interested, I can post the link. I think you have to sign up and pay a little fee to access the report, but it's worth it. It's really worth it. Okay, purpose of review. To assess the relevance of prenatal and pediatric autopsies in genetic and metabolic diseases. Right? So this states basically what they find. Genetic investigations are important component of fetal autopsies. Despite the advances in imaging diagnosis, the autopsy can identify abnormalities not seen on ultrasound or MRI, as confirmed in recent comparative studies. This is crucial in the diagnosis of syndromic conditions in which the information may be essential to determine a syndrome. Genetic tests may also have a role in the investigation, intrauterine growth restriction, and unexplained stillbirth. New techniques have increased the diagnostic yield, even in cases of macerated fetuses, so decomposed or whatever. The genetic autopsy is not limited to fetal loss. Genetic abnormalities underlie many cases presenting as sudden, unexpected death in infancy, childhood, and adolescence, and the need to obtain appropriate sample for genetic analysis applies not only to fetal autopsies. So they can do that with any. Fetal autopsies are still the gold standard in diagnosis of fetal abnormalities. Genetic studies are an important component, not only in cases of congenital malformations, but also in unexplained deaths, sudden deaths, as well as in children and as well as children as adults. So this is why, right? So they did not know in the start. I don't even know if they know now. But we have our Dr. Phil. So now listen to what Dr. Phil asks the family. And he asks the questions like right away, straight out, straightforward.
Okay. What did you learn about Nico at the time Shannann's life was taken?
We didn't know if it was a boy or girl yet. They had found out, but they were waiting to release it.
Thursday night they found out. And they were going to do a coming out party of being a boy, but they put that on freeze because he was being
strange.
Yeah.
And so the baby was alive when her life was taken?
Yes. And Chris was saying, to protect himself, that the baby wasn't his. And then they tried to say that the baby wasn't alive. So I had to give rights of my grandson to the place to prove that the baby was alive and it was Chris's.
And so there's a medical report now that confirms that?
Absolutely.
Yes. So we know now that the baby was alive.
Yes.
And the baby was Chris's.
Yes.
So after the testing, they now know that the baby was alive. So it's Chris's fault. Yeah, by killing her, he caused the pregnancy to terminate, and that it was a boy, and that it was Chris's. Yeah? I have not seen such a report. It's not made publicly available if there is such a report, but I know that genetic testing, they cannot do certain things, right? So if there's a genetic test, genetic testing was done to determine if Nico was alive or not. What caused the death of Nico? The CBI agent immediately took him from the morgue or from the medical examiner's office and took him to genetic testing. And this is where they find all this stuff out. And one other thing, why don't they mention anywhere in the discovery? And I feel like this is not a secret, right? Why don't they mention that Nico was actually a boy? It's nowhere does it state in the discovery that I say fetus, that Nico was male. Not in the autopsy report and nowhere in the discovery. Nowhere. Oh, and genetic testing takes about a week to come back. Do you guys want to listen to this again? Did everybody hear what they were saying? So they did a test, and by doing that test, it came out that Nico was alive, that Chris is the father, and everything basically. So all in one. Exactly. Stasia is your name? DNA to prove paternity. Do you guys want to hear that again, or can we skip it? Skip it. Wordplay. All right. No, you cannot, Jody. Is cool. Dr. Burson could not determine age nor gender. All right. Dr. Burson states that Nico is approximately 10.5 centimeters, and the baby's growth, they always measure from crown rump. CRL, it's called, is the measurement of the length of human embryos and fetuses from the top of the head to the bottom of the buttocks. So this is how they measure it, okay? So a normal grown baby at 15 weeks is 3.98 inches. It varies a little bit, of course. That's approximately 10.10 centimeters. And Burson states Nico is 10.5 centimeters. And the foot length, even he can even say he can tell the foot length even though Nico was largely decomposed. Yeah, but it is what it is, and I just rely on that student I've been talking to, and he said that's fine. So nothing to get into. That's totally, absolutely everything normal. So Nico was normally grown, normally developed, obviously, so nothing suspicious here. Then we get into the written stuff a little bit, and this is what I always say. You find more in the written notes than you find in the actual reports. So it's always worth a look to keep your eyes on the written reports. Okay, so this is basically the sheet they fill out during the autopsy before they write their report. So it says the head, hair color brown, 30 centimeters of length, slouching of the hair. Then it says eyes are opacified, color is brown, they're symmetric, the nose is midline and dried, natural, I have no clue what the G means, petechia, this is the blood vessel busts in the eyes, or also when you get strangled, petechia can also be apparent in on your gum, your lips, inside, all that stuff. So he did not discover any of that. The fetus and the ammoniac sac extending from the vault, so everything came out. Nails dirty, obviously, because it has sandy debris. Then he states a mild to moderate decomposition, bloating, marbling, discoloration, and skin slippage. So what we think is mild to moderate, we think in our heads, oh, that's not so bad. You know, she was still looking like she looked before. No, she was absolutely not. Mild to moderate is pretty advanced. Then he states the bruising of this muscle, bruising of several muscles on the surface. Then he weighs the brain, heart, lung, right lung, left lung. No edemas. She had a little gallbladder stone. I think every one of us has one. Discolored and autolysis. So that's also a state of decomposition. He notes spleen blood, the uterus empty, hardware. So this is basically his notes. Crypto handwriting. So nothing really what we did not go through in his report. Sometimes, you know, when the officers do their handwritten notes, they don't even put that in the typed report. Okay, and this is something Dawn found. You know, these notes he does during the autopsy, or he has somebody for him, you know, who does those notes. I don't know if that's his handwriting actually or not, or he has a, you know, an assistant. When he looked at first at her, you know, without opening her body, without seeing the internal injuries, he states probable asphyxiation due to manual strangulation. And this is what I asked the student. I said, well, in his report, he states, you know, this is asphyxiation due to manual strangulation. And he says, yeah, but in his written report, you know, the first glance at her, of course, he says probable, because by the time he wrote this, he did not see the internal injuries, right? He did not connect the dots yet. This is the first thing he tells his assistant to write down, probable asphyxiation. So basically, I see this and that in front of me. This could be a probable asphyxiation due to manual strangulation. When Dawn found that first, I was like, oh my God, they didn't even know it. And they said probable. So as you can see, for everything, basically there's an explanation, right? I did not know that he writes that before he writes his written typed report. So yeah, that's basically brain dump, if you will. Then second trimester pregnancy, 10.5 centimeter is the length of Nico, and the foot length is 0.7 to 0.8 centimeters. Don't ask me what's that in inches. We don't do inches here. Then what, micros something? What does he state here? A, usual, B, usual, C, brain, D, heart, E, oh my God, I have no clue. Muscle? Ah, this is that muscle on her neck where they send samples in as well. Then the surface of thyroid bone, and the left temporalism, whatever that is. I think they should all go to writing school again. So what he did is collecting evidence, the nail clippings, the swabs of the palm, neck, and face. Yeah, and that was Dr. Berson's report. So nothing unusual. I thought mentioning probable asphyxiation was unusual, but as it was explained to me, it's not unusual because you just basically brain dump the first impression you have. Yeah, and that was it as far as Shanann's autopsy goes. I hope I did not bore you guys too much, but I think there are significant and important findings as far as collapsed lungs, as far as oxytocin. Have you guys tried that out? Put oxytocin 80 milligrams in Google and go to pictures or images. We can actually do you want to do this together? Hold on, I'm going to stop sharing this. Can I share my screen and type at the same time? I don't know. Let's try. I open. If I'm gone, then I pushed the wrong button, just so you know. Did it work? It did work. Okay, let's try this. What was it? 80 milligrams. Oh, I write it the German way. That's wrong. See what comes up? Oxycontin. All the way. All the way. So yes, I do believe that was a typo. I do believe that he wanted to look up oxytocin. I truly do believe that. And the browser redirects you, right? If I go to, let's say I go to this, right? And I visit that website. See what the browser gives me? So if he's looking up oxytocin and he clicks on Oxycontin, his browser will automatically redirect him and give that address, right? So yeah, I do believe, my personal humble opinion, he did look up oxytocin. What do you guys think? What do you guys think about the collapsed lung? You know, I mean, he mentions quite a lot that he sat on her. He describes that, you know, they ask him, oh, isn't that feeling uncomfortable for her? Like, you know, I think that in everything he says, there's a little bit of truth. Yeah, someone was laying on top of her, and I do believe it was him. I mean, we still don't know, you know, who killed the kids. I'm still having my doubts. I have my little theory, but I do still have my doubts. But it's definitely, after what I've learned so far, it's quite possible that he did kill her. Someone was holding her down. Small, she was suffocated. Definitely 2 people involved. Oh, that others are involved? Absolutely. Absolutely. But I don't know. I struggle with, after studying that, to what extent? This is the big question I have. I'm pretty sure he had oxycodone on hand in the basement. Couldn't he really have been researching that? I don't know. I don't know. But it causes miscarriage. And Shanann, let's make that clear. She was using a lot of medication. Yeah, Imitrex and that balance stuff. And to me, to others it is not, but to me, Thrive, this is nothing other than a drug. To me, in my personal opinion. So she was using all that stuff. So do you really think a few pills of oxycodone would have caused her to miscarry? No. But why would he look up dioptase? Why? And oxytocin is it's a hormone, right? It's not a medication per se. So yeah. Maybe he did not think of it, but maybe somebody else. And like I said before, do you really think that he was thinking about dioptase without being told, look that up and what it does to you? I don't think he was into that crystal mineral stuff. I just don't see it. Holding her down. Yeah, causing her. I mean, that's a fact. Yeah. It's a fact that her lungs were collapsed. And we went by elimination. She couldn't have, she wasn't born with a collapsed lung condition. And what was the other one? Can't remember. So it was compressive. This was the only thing. Oh, yeah, she did not have foreign objects in her airways or anywhere. Dr. Burson states that very clear. So that rules out the third option, which leaves us only with the compressive one, meaning somebody held her down, somebody was sitting on her, or somebody put force and pressure on her chest. And this is not disputable, that's a fact. And I think that's a big piece of evidence because I never saw that before. They had a pharmacy in their basement, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, by the way, we know that this oxytocin comes in all sorts of forms and shapes, right? You can have tablets, you can have lotions, it's in nasal sprays, it's in all sorts of things. I ask you guys, go to the body cam footage and watch the body cam footage from the basement. And then zoom in and check, because I ran out of time. So I wanted to do this for you guys, but I ran out of time and I wanted to look up if I can see any medication in their in these totes they had in the basement contained oxytocin. I really, really want to know if you can find it. Yes, anything at this stage, he probably really just left her to die. I really don't know, but it was horror. Yeah, absolutely horror. She did take Imitrex for her migraines. Exactly. And as Burson states, where was it? Can share it again. They did a case study by giving some participants oxytocin to induce labor. Okay, when they failed, they noted that obviously the fetus was dead or whatever. If you read the whole case study, it's really, really horrible. The fetus died. They failed into the induction of labor, and the membranes were ruptured, caused by this. Hold on, I can share it again. Right here. See, it says that's the case study. Just put it in. I think it costs $14 or something, but it's worth it. Duration of oxytocin and rupture of the membranes before diagnosing a failed induction of labor. And the case study says that the membranes and the cords and everything was ruptured. And this is exactly what Burson states as well. So this is, in my opinion, an important indicator. I have a delay on StreamYard, just so you know. Yeah, she took a cocktail of medications. Yeah. What I don't get my head around is to tell people on Facebook, and this, oh my God, has nothing to do with bashing Shanann or in any shape or form, but, you know, being a public person, kind of, you know, selling that stuff, posting publicly, and you say, oh, my doctor said, what did she put? I cannot give it exactly how she put it, but she said something along those lines. People were concerned and asked her, why are you using Thrive? You know, you're pregnant. And she said, oh, well, my doctor said it's totally fine to take it. No, it's not. I could not find one doctor that recommended Thrive to be safe during pregnancy. Stasia, this is what do you remember when I showed you this? Of the blood alcohol level? Yeah. Estrogen is also kind of a hormone. It does not necessarily show up, but it's mirrored in the blood alcohol concentration. If that makes sense. You mean oxycodone? Yeah, of course, because he didn't give any to her. You know, oxycodone, OxyContin is a medication. It's a drug. Oxytocin is in your body anyway, right? So with the mixture of what she took and oxytocin being a hormone is not that easily detected because it's a hormone that's in your body anyway, right? So this is the difference. Thank you, Mary. Yeah, I think so too. Mother gave her hand cream. I think it's in that hormone is in, they describe where it's in sun creams and stuff like that. I don't think it's in hand creams. I don't know. Could be. You know what? Honestly, I don't even think she took all of that Thrive stuff herself. Maybe for the cameras. She wore those patches, yeah, and took this balance stuff. and ate those bars and shakes, but they have so much product. Oh, I don't know. Yeah, this is just my opinion, Truth Seeker last name. I don't think he would have been ever looking up dioptase, ever. Could be he was drugging her in NC and that started the miscarriage. It would have not been detected in her system by the time of death. Yeah, that could be possible. Absolutely. Who buried somebody in their yard? Probably. Oh, yeah, maybe she brought it up. I put up a little video about Susan Smith. It's worth watching, even though my voice might be like you're gonna fall asleep any second soon. But yeah, it's worth watching. You can find some similarities in the case of Susan Smith. Enough to open their own private hospital. Yeah. Sitting on her could have been wherever they took her, because was it said no stairs climbed after going in house? Officer Lines took photos of meth, and that's when you see Oxycontin. Yes, but Oxycontin is a different thing. Oxycontin and Oxytocin are two different, totally, completely different things. Yeah, but I agree. No stairs climbed. No, her phone nor her watch did not register any flights climbed or him, but we don't know if she did not put her phone on the side and walked in the house. We don't know that because it's not registered, When you put your phone on the table and just walk around the house, you don't know, the phone doesn't know if you go upstairs or downstairs or whatever. So therefore, no flights can be. Maybe she did go upstairs one more time or downstairs one more time. All we know is in the time frame she had her phone with her moving, we know what she did. But other than that, we don't know. Yeah, absolutely. Tremendous pressure on her abdominal area. Yeah. I mean, we went by the elimination, right? I still don't understand why none of them even shouted out Shanann's name or the kids' names. You're referring to NA? I think when she opened the front door and was prevented by going in by that latch, I think she shouted out to her or not or whatever. The thing that concerns me about NA, and I thought a lot about this, she says in her text messages, when I went through the discovery, all the text messages in the digital discovery, she is saying, or she's texting to Shanann, your alarm is set, right? So NA obviously knows the code because she was watching Dieter, she was watching the girls from time to time, and so on. NA was able to open the front door, no problem. Chris got his alerts. What confuses me and what I do question is when Nick says, when they ask him about the garage alert, and he said, it was opened a little bit, or he leaned against it, or he climbed up there to look if the child seats were in the Lexus or whatever he did, and the alarm went off. So how did they turn the alarm off? How did they do this without accessing the Vivint panel? Did she have access to Vivint through the, you can add, I don't know how many have seen my previous video on the Vivint, but you can actually add admins to your Vivint panel so they can access it from their phones. Did she have access? Or how did she turn off that garage door alert if she didn't have access to the panel? I don't get it. So either she was put as an administrator on his Vivint panel, or she was in that damn house. How else would she turn off all the alarms? She states clearly your alarm is set, right? So how do you turn it off without accessing the freaking panel? Thank you, Chris. Oxytocin induces labor. Oxycontin is a narcotic for pain. Yeah, and oxytocin is already in your body. It's a hormone. And yeah, if you're interested in that, I really can only suggest you reading that case study. It's over 250 pages, I think, but it's really good. Could Chris have done it on his phone? Yeah, that's possible. That's possible. But I believe, and I could be wrong, but I believe I read in the discovery that he only got 2 alerts. One when she was there in the morning and one after 12 p.m. I'm not good with times. I suck at this. But yeah. So if he had a alert earlier, because he says he was talking to her or he saw her on camera and they were talking to each other through the camera. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure why he never mentioned another alarm then. Exactly. Vivint was on when CW went to work. He got alerts that day. Right. So when the garage door alerted, how did they turn it off? I don't understand. Because Chris never mentions that, right? He never mentions that he turned it off from his phone or whatever. She had the code, yeah, but they had one of these latches. She couldn't go in. The only way she could have went in is through the basement, right? If a window was open, we don't know. I don't know. Or through the garage. Nick clearly knows Nate, so I find it hard to believe they'd be frantic outside the house for a while without going to his door, ask if he'd seen them. Yeah. Maybe they were asking him. I don't know. She may have been added to the panel code from being told to watch Shanann by her mom. Yeah, Shanann could have added her too. They knew their stuff, especially electronically, in my opinion. Yeah. Oh, they knew where the cameras were and everything. I mean, clear as day. Oh my God, I have a massive delay. The 360 Live app was Nick's, not NA's. Mom's work. Yeah, I heard that. This had to be explained to me. But the 360 I'm totally don't know about the 360 app. But yeah, after Dawn explained it to me, I understand it better, but still not good enough to make a conclusion on this. Nick would go through the basement. What do you mean, Super Sunshine Sue? Setting clocks to NC time. We don't know. All we have is their word for it. I have never seen a report. The Watts family has never seen a report either. I don't know if CW has seen anything, but I don't know. You don't believe she got into the house? I don't know. This case is just, you can rip your hair out. All right, because you mentioned that, I actually downloaded, oh God, where did I download this? I can't remember. I downloaded that medical seal record request thingy that was not in the not in the discovery, in the court files. I think I got it from Pacer. And actually what happened was they requested to seal medical records only for the time being, because what they thought was that this thing comes to trial. So what they did, his defense requested for medical to be sealed and not to be made public, due to, giving him a fair trial if it comes to a trial. And this is all I could find regarding medical records to be sealed. I did not find anything other than that. And Dave and I, we did ask, and Chris doesn't even know anything about him saying you gotta seal medical stuff or anything. So he never signed anything. Yeah, that's all I can tell you, Mary. But I can show you this in the next live stream. Paternity results would have been given to the Watts if the baby was CW's, in my opinion. I don't know. I don't know, to be honest. I think that they legally have, as hard as it sounds, but legally they have no right to obtain any documents without his permission. I mean, it could be different with the Rusek family because Shanann was their daughter. I think it's a bit different, but without his permission, I don't think they can obtain anything. I mean, they can ask him, give me permission to get the records on behalf of you, but yeah, not going to happen. NA was at the doctor's in Erie when the garage alert CW at 12:42. Dave, do you know when that garage alert went off? Was it 12:42 exact? I believe that I thought I heard that was 9, but I could be totally wrong. Live 360 shows it weird, but my son had the app and I was able to debunk her being at the house at 12:42. That much I do know. So you were able to debunk her being at the house at... I really have to take another look at this 360 stuff. I gotta try it out, download it. Oh, is the 360 only available for Android phones? Because I don't have Android. Ever. I'm an Apple kid. Aside from them going missing, the office was mess. So, oh yeah, that was messed up. Definitely. And I made a whole video about this. I broke it all down from when Coonrod walks in, how does the office look? Compared to a couple hours later, compared to the next day. And you can clearly see that somebody is going through her office. Especially when Sergeant Bakes and Officer James, them two are my favorites because they turned every friggin' stone around and opened everything. Just as it should be. When they go in and go through their stuff and take all that pictures, then we see that on her desk is only a credit card statement and stuff from I believe April and May that year. Nothing else. And if you go in that little closet, all the paperwork is on the floor. So definitely somebody was in a hurry. Yes, I can agree with that. I absolutely agree with that. They would have. Oh, sorry, Private Eye, I missed half of your question. Were any of texts deleted? Not that we know of, but we do not have all of her phone records. We only have what's in the discovery. And neither do we have all of Chris's phone records, which would be very interesting to see. I had a little shock, a little heart attack today when I went through the messages because I'm preparing another live stream on messages. Then I saw that somebody had called him at 8:26 or something, and I just saw that screenshot of his phone screen, and I'm like, what? August the 13th? Somebody called him at 8:26? That has to be NK, right? And then I saw it was that realtor lady. Yeah, but I got a little heart attack. All right. Ah, that's good. So I can download it. Yeah, I try it out. I definitely try it out. And then if I studied that thing, I'm absolutely not with this 360 stuff, but yeah, I'm gonna try it out and then I report back to you guys. Let's see how it goes. iPhone is the best phone for us dummies. Oh. No comment. All right, you guys. Oh, gonna stop share that screen. Yeah, I'm tired now. Was exhausting the past couple of days to prepare that stream. Next week, I'm gonna be going into Bella and Cece. Maybe I can do them both in one go. Can't promise it. But yeah, got stuff to do. I'm gonna be starting going back to work on Tuesday. And then we're gonna see each other probably Sundays again. Oh, I can give you a little sneak peek. I'm in the process of working with somebody doing logos. And I have a picture that goes on my Red X logo on YouTube. I'm still looking for alternative platforms. So if you know something good, let me know. And I thought I'm gonna be doing a members only where you guys can actually pick out the photo of my new icon. And I'm gonna give you a sneak peek of 2 photos I picked. Not ready yet, but yeah, I'm gonna cover the bottom part. One is this one for my new logo. That's me, by the way. Or I don't know if I can show this, but it's a gun. I'm gonna cover this as good as I can, so my video won't get flagged. It's this one. So I thought I have 200 something different in a photo shoot, and I wanted to build that into my icon and my thumbnail on my channel. So I thought, yeah, maybe why not let you guys decide which one. Maybe I post them on my community tab, but I feel a little bit uncomfortable because this is raw, so it's not edited or anything. So yeah, this is what's coming up. Few new things coming up as well. I'm working still on the Once Upon a Crime stuff. Did start with Susan Smith. This was my first ever on my own edited video. So yeah, people were falling asleep, but okay. My theory, I don't have a theory. I go on facts. And what the facts tell me so far is that it's very much possible that he could have done this. Not sure about the children, but Shanann, absolutely. I'm 90% sure. Johnny, yes, I wanted to do one today with Steve, but I did not receive the permission to use certain videos on time. I do have permission now, but I didn't receive it, and I did actually ask a little bit too late. All right, you guys, have a great rest of your weekend. Have a lovely, 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 lovely Mother's Day, all you ladies out there, and Grandma's Day, and Women's Day, and, you know, should be every day. I love you guys. Stay safe, stay out of trouble. And what else is there to mention? Stay out of trouble, stay safe, hug your loved ones, as Dave says. Yes, absolutely. Tomorrow's not promised. Didn't Daniel Bischoff say that all the time? Tomorrow's not promised. Wasn't that his kind of slogan, right? Yeah. Yeah, and I hope you guys join in next time. I schedule the live streams soon, and I'm gonna put up that little Dr. Phil thingy for all you guys to hear. Curious about your opinion on the DNA and the genetic testing. But yeah, we'll see. All right, you guys, stay safe. I love you. See you later. Bye-bye.